Scams don't always look like scams anymore. AI can make a fake ticket offer look legit or a sportsbook text sound official. And once an identity thief gets your personal information, they can start using your name like it belongs to them. And then what? LifeLock helps detect potential identity threats and suspicious activity. And if identity theft happens, LifeLock's restoration specialists can help restore your identity, guaranteed, because only LifeLock truly protects your name and identity. Get LifeLock at LifeLock.com and use promo code FOOTBALL for up to 30% off your first year. That's LifeLock.com, code FOOTBALL.
Some people use ChatGPT to answer questions. Others use it to get real work done. With ChatGPT Work, you bring the goal, plus real inputs like briefs, notes, files, feedback, data, and project plans. It can help turn them into an analysis, tracker, deck outline, prototype, or workflow you can review and keep shaping. You stay in control, giving direction and choosing the final output. Put ChatGPT to work on your most ambitious ideas and projects. Get started at ChatGPT.com by selecting Work Mode. Available on Plus and Pro plans.
Lowe's knows Sundays are for football. So tackle your home improvement projects by Saturday and earn your Sunday with great deals on LG and Bosch appliances, select Ego, DeWalt, Filtrete products, and more. Then once your to-do list is done, get ready to kick back, relax, and enjoy the game. Shop in-store or online now and earn your Sunday with help from Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
The following is an exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League.
Yeah! Touchdown!
Panther Talk. Panther Talk. Panther Talk.
This is Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
Third down and goal from the 5. Shotgun snap. King back to throw. Steps up. He's got room to run. King trying for the end zone.
Touchdown.
Reaching.
Yes, it is.
Touchdown.
Yes, it
Hayes
is.
King
Yes, it
with
is.
the touchdown to win it for
Look
the
at that.
Panthers.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to say, this was for Luke.
And now, along with Jim Zoki and Eugene Robinson, here's Anish Shroff with Panther Talk. Live from the Panthers broadcast facility at Bank of America Stadium.
What a weekend in Canton, Ohio, from the Hall of Fame game. As exciting a preseason game as you will see, as you will watch. And then the piece de resistance for Panther Nation, Luke Kuechly going into the Hall of Fame. It is Panther Talk. We are back every Monday until the end of the season. Anish Shroff, Jim Zoki, Eugene Robinson. We'll get to the Hall of Fame game. But first, Luke Kuechly. It's a big deal that he is the first player in franchise history who spent his entire career with Carolina that is now enshrined in the Hall of Fame. He is as beloved and as popular, and probably more beloved and more popular than any player who's ever put on Panther Blue. Yet the induction and the enshrinement, it was so classic Luke, Jim. He made it about everybody except for Luke.
And he made it personal. He didn't just say, thanks to everybody, thanks for the equipment guys. He named them.
Yeah.
He named the PR staff. He named the kitchen staff. I mean, he named every department that he could think of to name people that helped him get his playing career to where it was, to help him be a better player, whether it was the nutrition or the trainers, the PR people, everybody along the way, of course, the coaches and his teammates. And that's so classic, Luke, to your point, to make it not about him, but to share that with everybody there. And I think they felt that. I actually texted Charlie Dayton, our original director of communications. I said, hey, nice shout out from Luke. Just wanted to say hey. And he asked if we were still in Canton. I said, no, we flew back after the game. He said, that's just Luke being Luke. And that's kind of like how you could kind of sum up who he is. And when he talked about hanging out with J.J. Jansen and his wife and Greg Olson and his wife when he was first new in town, it was just like, just kind of that sense of like this young kid coming here and just kind of, you forget how young he was. He retired at 28. And so what a long career he could have, should have had, but what a meteoric rise that was in 8 years.
What he did in 8 years, 7 times a Pro Bowler, 100-plus tackles in every season, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, spearheaded that defense, which led the Panthers to a 15-1 regular season and a Super Bowl berth in that magical 2015 campaign. Luke Kuechly, now a member of the Hall of Fame. And it's funny, his persona off the field and on the field could not be different. the guy that you see. It really is. We joke about it, and he gets bored with the jokes, and you're going to hear from Luke later in the show, the Clark Kent Superman dynamic, but it is two different people.
It is. I mean, he is a guy who is as aggressive as they come on the football field and as humble and understated and down to earth off the field as you can imagine. And you've done a lot of these too. There's been a lot of preview, Luke Kuechly going into the Hall of Fame specials. And I said, I'm probably repeating what everybody else said. Humble guy, grounded, makes it about everybody else. Smartest guy as far as the work he put in and the retention that he had in learning film study. But then on the football field, I mean, he knew his job. He knew everyone else's job. He knew the opponent's playbook. And he put all that together, and he just kind of figured it all out. And I think in any other line of work, he would have gone about it, just probably minus some of the physicality of punching people as you do in football, where you hit out, go out there and people get hurt. But he was just like, if he had been in a different career, he would have been successful in that. He's proving that as a broadcaster quickly. And you're right, just the dynamic of his personality on and off the field don't mesh, but that's what kind of makes him who he is and makes him a little bit more unique, I think.
I remember a couple of years ago after the season ended, I said to Luke, hey, can we go watch tape? I want to watch tape with Luke Kuechly. I want to see if I can pick up something from the way you watch film, which, as we all know, is legendary. And about 10 minutes into the session, it almost felt like you were sitting next to a poker player, somebody who picks up on the slightest of tells. And you and I, we work with a lot of football people, and we've worked with a lot of football people over the years. And so I go back to them and I say, hey, I was watching tape with Luke, and these are some of the things that he was picking up on. And it was how an offensive lineman lines up, but it was the subtleties in how he lines up and how he picks on one small twitch and knows right away when he does that, it's a run play to the right. And the resounding response I got from all these guys who played in the NFL, high-level college football was, yeah, that's not normal. Most people don't watch tape that way. In fact, nobody does. But it was a little bit of a glimpse into what made him him. And we often talk about the intelligence and the ability to marry film study to what happens on field. And lost in that sometimes was this guy was a hell of an athlete on top of all that. He was smart, but he was physical, and he was fast, and he had instincts.
Because just being smart would make you a coach. But the fact that he could play at the level with his size is incredible, and the intensity that he had with that as well. So imagine being like the Arizona Cardinals in a playoff game, how demoralizing that is, that he's standing there as the Mike linebacker and pointing out everything they're doing and moving all of his teammates like chess pieces around him, and they're hearing him yelling out the play they're now stuck in running and him figuring that out. Now, does it happen 100% of the time, and can they check out of things? Sure, but I mean, what an advantage it is to have a guy like that on your side who not only can see it and recognize it, but then carry it out. There's a lot of times we know you're going to run the ball to the left. Now you got to stop it. Well, he could do both. He knows you're going to run it to the left, and in most cases, he can stop it. So that's the combination.
Yeah, and he can go pick off a pass in his 8 seasons. That time period he played, no linebacker had more interceptions than Luke Kuechly. And we've gotten a chance to get to know him as a teammate. He does radio for us. He's going to do a dozen games this fall, including his work with Netflix. He's still going to be on the Panthers radio network. I've told this story in a bunch of interviews lately. What jumps out to me, we're on the road after the game. It is a mad dash to pack up, and Luke's the guy getting everything in, trying to clean up, and then we've got this giant metal crate that needs to be wheeled through the bowels of whatever stadium that we're in. How many times when we're walking through toward the loading dock to load that crate, Luke's always pushing the crate. Mm-hmm. How many times do you see somebody with a chef hat or a security guard or somebody working in the stadium pass by, and then they turn around and they go, no, that could be. Was that Luke Kuechly? No way. It happens a few times every year. But, again, that's the guy. I mean, he's doing the grunt work.
And we're walking just with, our duffel bags, and we can't keep up with him as he's pushing this giant crate that he's thrown 2 more bags on top of, and the weight that he's pushing. And for him, it's just it's not even a strain. But it's like you said, that's not common either as far as somebody contributing in that way. After the broadcast, again, I was like, life is like, what are you like when nobody's looking? That's a nobody's looking kind of situation that people aren't going to write a book about that. But those are the little tells. I tell people as we talk about these pre-ceremony pieces they wanted to do about him. I go, one of our favorite things is, I've heard you talk about this too, is we'll go to break and he'll find a scratched piece of paper and he'll XXOO draw out a play real quickly and show you how it could have gone, how it might go. Here's another wrinkle that they could do, and here's a play they'll come back to later and show it to us. And you just want to look at that and go, could you sign that? And I could sell that on eBay for $1 million, because that's pretty cool. But it's like he'll just draw it up off the top of his head that quickly, like an artist doing a sketch drawing or something like that, but with football in it.
It is the meme that you see, the Zach Galifianakis meme from The Hangover,
numbers,
where
yeah.
you've got all the equations and all the numbers, and he processes all of that in real time, and he makes it look cool.
He does, and we're cooler for knowing him. We're not cool, but we're cooler for hanging out with a guy like him, and, of course, Jake and Eugene and all the guys we get to hang out with. But, Luke is special because going to the Hall of Fame and having his dad induct him and seeing Julius Peppers put the jacket on him, that kind of added another layer to, like, we're stacking Hall of Famers now. Like, yeah, Luke is the first one. Julius was kind of the first one that had, like, the bulk of his career with this team. Sam Mills meant so much during the 3-year playing period, but, of course, as a coach, that continued after that. We had Kevin Green and some others that had important years here. But that's a lifer, 8 years, and a guy that lives here who is very much a part of this community now. So not only then as a player, but you could go to a restaurant or a store this week and you could run into Luke Kuechly.
And I'll use Luke to transition here to the game, because I sent Luke a text on Friday, so this was after the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, a day before his ceremony. Didn't even think he was going to respond because he was so busy, and I just said, hey, really excited for you. Enjoy every minute of this weekend. His response goes, how about our boys last night?
We said we were hoping to get Luke in the booth at some point, pregame, maybe in the first half of the Hall of Fame game in Canton. Of course, way too much for him to do. It was never an actual possibility, but we thought we might get him for a couple minutes because it's a smaller stadium. And I said, well, it's just as well, because if he came up here, he'd be like, yeah, I was looking down there at the linebacker play and looking at the third-string safety, and he would want to chop up the game he's looking at in the Arizona Cardinals. He would probably have said thanks about anything said about him and then spent the rest of the time talking about everything on the field, not about himself.
Yeah, and what happened on the field. I thought, again, you don't want to make too much of one preseason game, a game in which neither team played its starters. But a couple of things from a procedural standpoint were promising. Dave Canales giving up the play calling to kind of be the CEO and to have that Goodyear blimp view over everything. To me, I kind of look at this and go, okay, small sample size, but Brad Idzik might be a really good offensive coordinator and a play caller. And this allows Dave to kind of be that head coach and to think situationally, okay, is this a drive where if we get to a certain point, I can think before the drive we're going for it on fourth down, when to use our timeouts. And the 2-minute drill, I go back to the last couple of years, there have been times procedurally where things happened a little slower than you would like. You'd had to burn a timeout because you couldn't get a play in. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's where Idzik certainly shined in that Hall of Fame game, but the offense did. Just the operation. And again, one game, you're not trying to turn this into an overarching narrative. Things have to play out a little. But for that one game, procedurally, the way they were getting the plays in, a lot of guys who were new, didn't even know the system, seemed to thrive. I think this could be a great thing for Brad Idzik, and this could be a greater thing for Dave Canales.
Absolutely. Makes both of them better. And spoiler alert, I talked to a coach coming up here in a couple of minutes, and I asked him about that, and I said, you've always been developmental. Like in past years, Brad has been a play caller in the preseason because he's developing those guys for things they want to do, just like he got the opportunity to become a head coach and an offensive coordinator in that kind of order. And he talks about that. He talks about how the communications went down when Kenny Pickett was at quarterback, and they had to go old school style to get the plays run in and that kind of stuff. So you'll get a little more detail to what Anish is talking about there coming up when he kind of talks about that. But I think it's great, and I hope Brad Idzik kills it. I hope he has a great career. I hope people don't get too fond of him around the league too soon, because there's a copycat league, and young, talented, offensive-minded guys seem to be in vogue as far as head coaches around this league, and you can be in your 30s and get those kind of jobs now, where it used to not be that way a few decades ago. But he'll give you a little more detail about what you were just talking about.
All right, and we've got all that to look forward to here on Panther Talk. Jim talks with Dave Canales. I chatted with Luke Kuechly earlier today, And then we also have a conversation with Jim and rookie cornerback Will Lee. It's all ahead on Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
The new Smokin' Honey Melts are now at Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen, so when we make a new melt, we build it right. Melty, toasty, and packed with prime rib or grilled chicken breast, then drizzled with our new Smokin' Honey Chipotle sauce. Sweet, smoky, built right. It takes a Firehouse kitchen to make a melt this good. Try the new Smokin' Honey Melts today, only at Firehouse Subs, at participating U.S. restaurants.
This is Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network. Brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
That was fantastic, and really just a group effort, and a tribute to all the coaches, the players, the situational things that we practice in our practices, in our walkthrough. We go through these situations at the end of half. We're able to come away with points. End of the game, whether we finished on defense or offense, we didn't care. Just finish is what we preach around here, and the guys expected it. And they saw how much time we had, and they expected to win.
Catching coach here just a little bit before Panther Talk, coming off the practice field. So 2 practice sessions since the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Let's talk about the practice today. You said today was one of your favorite sessions as far as what you're doing with the Gunners and so forth. Talk about why that is to you such a favorite day.
Well, when you're out there as a gunner and you got 2 guys blocking you, in the vise, it's a matter of sheer will, like just the will to use your technique to get off the line, the aggressiveness to use your hands and find a leverage on somebody. You can't play 2 guys, you got to play 1. And then it becomes like this just conditioning, just this gritty, you're burnt out, 2 people are pulling, leaning on you in some way. You got to get down there because your team's counting on you. And I just love it. It's just high-speed action. I remember, as a quality control coach, chasing those guys and running down with them. And now I kind of position myself a little further down the field and catch them on their way. But it just kind of, to me, it's always what football is about. There's their scheme, and you can try to out-trick and out-maneuver. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to who wants it more. And you learn a lot about guys in those settings.
It's well known that the end of the roster, back half of the roster, a lot of it is combination of being a position player but also being a special teams player. What's that competition in general been like as far as seeing those guys compete, where it's not something that's talked about like the quarterbacks and some other positions as much as that is?
Yeah, it's so critical, and this is something that goes way back to my time with Pete, at USC and in Seattle, and filling your roster with guys that can just help your team. And there's 3 phases of football, and if you're not one of the top 2 or 3 guys starting every play on offense or defense, you have to help on special teams. You have to be able to cover. You got to be able to block in space on punt return or kick return, and stay connected to guys. And when we see guys emerge with some of those talents, we start to elevate them and think about them higher, even as they're learning their position. Take a guy like Felipe Franks, who is continually improving as a tight end. And in the meantime, he's made a fantastic career out of playing special teams, covering kicks and playing violently. And it gives you time to continue to really refine your craft. And the more we bring talented young players in, their best way to contribute is on special teams. Will Lee, corner. He's got the talent to someday be a starter. We have 2 fabulous starting corners. Will's going to be playing special teams for us. So it's like, let's see what he can do out there on the perimeter and see how we can use different guys.
So talking about the quarterbacks who played in the last game, you have, of course, Kenny Pickett, and you had Haynes King, and we'll see Kyle Trask coming up as well. To go back to that game for a moment, having looked at the tape, we talked to you right after the game the other night. What did you see out of those guys in their reps at quarterback?
What I saw from Kenny was just great operation, getting the guys organized. Brad's headset went out on the second drive. We were pinned back, and just a malfunction, equipment malfunction, which can happen. In hindsight, I might have tried to do that to him at one point in this preseason and just say, hey, Danny, pull the plug, and get the comms off. But it happened naturally, and Brad was composed. Kenny was composed. We had a little bit of time in between. He ran over, and Brad gave him 2 plays. John Mechie ran a play in and called it like old school, high school. Receiver runs in and gives a play. So that was just a cool moment for us to say, when this happens, here's how we operate, without getting into too much of our signals and know how to, which we can do in games. we didn't really want to do that in that situation. So Kenny handled that really well, was able to pick up a good first down, flip the field a little bit, so that we ended up punting on the drive, but he got a successful drive going after that. So.
You've commented before about being a developmental coaching staff in addition to with the players and having them do different things. How much did that help that it wasn't Brad's first time as your play caller since you've done it in previous preseasons? You guys obviously well-versed together anyways, but having gone through the mechanics of that in the past?
All that is huge, and I understand that these guys, for the guys who want the opportunities to be play callers on the offense or defensive side, trying to find opportunities, which we can't do for everybody, and then trying to find conversations on the side. It's me and Mike Bercovici talking, me and Dean Petzing talking about setting up a call sheet. Here's where you start with third down, etc. And just, just talking out loud, kind of keeping like a verbal journal of the things that go on so they hear what's happening in my head, the challenges that a coordinator can experience. And certainly Brad and I have had a lot of those, but it really helped him. It's really helped Jonathan Kuechly, who's called games in the past, in the last couple of preseasons. So, starting them off on the right trajectory so when they get their opportunity, it's not their very first time.
All right, final thing, of course, Buffalo coming up at the end of this week. We will see the starters. You said 10 to 20 reps and so forth there. Big picture, offense, defense, and special teams. What's your outlook as far as expectations for this game coming up?
Our play style, always. Got to make sure that shows up. Ball security, attacking the ball, striking it, making sure we play with great effort, great enthusiasm, great toughness, playing smart, and last of all, finishing drives, finishing quarters, finish halves, finish the game. And that's what we're looking for from our guys, that our play style stands out.
All right, Coach, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim.
That's Coach Dave Canales. More coming up next on Panther Talk on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
The new Smokin' Honey Melts are now at Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen, so when we make a new melt, we build it right. Melty, toasty, and packed with prime rib or grilled chicken breast, then drizzled with our new Smokin' Honey Chipotle sauce. Sweet, smoky, built right. It takes a firehouse kitchen to make a melt this good. Try the new Smokin' Honey Melts today, only at Firehouse Subs, at participating U.S. restaurants.
Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs, continues on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network. Brought to you by Coke. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola.
All right, talking with Panthers rookie cornerback Will Lee, 4th-round pick out of Texas A&M. Got to begin at the beginning here. How's camp going for you so far, your first time around?
Oh, yeah, it's been good. Just trying to stay consistent and work on the little details. And, the whole thing for me is just mess up on something new each day. Don't try to have the same mistake and just keep growing in that mindset.
Obviously, this is one of those teams where that starting outside corner position is set. With you got J.C. Horn, got Mike Jackson, but they were both down for a period of time early in the camp as well. You really stood out as a guy people were talking about quite a bit. How was your confidence level coming out of spring football into this time of year that you were able to step right in?
Yeah, it's been real great. Having those two guys, lean on me and help me with anything I need. Really just, from the technique from playing the field and the technique from playing the boundary. I got two good guys that understand the game and those concepts and just help me out. Coming into camp, it's been real physical for me, just mentally on my mind, just trying to understand everything at a quick time and, catch up with all the vets. And, they're helping me out with that and making it real easy.
For you, obviously, you'll play wherever they put you, but you feel comfortable slot, outside, all the different places you might be put at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm here to help the team, in any regards. If they need me to play in the slot, they need me to play outside, field, boundary, anything, I'll help the team out in that and do what I need to.
Got some good talkers in that backfield, too, out of college. Was that your thing? I just kind of, to some degree, heard the blanket story and the nickname that came with that. But are you a talkative guy by nature, or what is your demeanor like?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to go out there and talk trash a little bit. I got to make sure they know I'm out there. With Mike Jack and JC, they talk, and it makes it real easy for me to, keep it in and just, back it up. So it makes it real easy for me.
When you guys are out of practice with the padded practices, working against T-Mac and Jalen Coker and all that group out there, it seems really competitive, almost has a game-type intensity. Was it like that in college? Is it more so like that at this level as far as comparing practices?
Yeah, see, in college, you'll have maybe your one or two guys that'll be, competitive every day in and day out. Like we had Casey Concepcion, and he was real competitive. He gave me great work at practice every day. And then, like, coming here with T-Mac and Coker, it's just real work every day, and it's really efficient. Like those guys, you got to come in on your A game every day. They're really efficient in their route running. They don't waste any movement. And, they're going to give you their best every day. So it's really like a game setting every time you come to practice.
I think NC State fans might be interested in your thoughts about KC, the player and the person. Of course, drafted early by Cleveland, I think, in the second round this past year. But were you pretty close with him, or what was he like?
Yeah, that was my dog. If you really know him, he's a chef at heart. So, he always used to cook a lot at A&M and had guys come over to his house. And, we chatted up, watched film and stuff. So, he's a real good person, great guy.
All right, last thing, just being here in Charlotte. I know you've had the spring ball and so forth. Any favorite places or foods or anything you've kind of discovered about our town?
Really just, during camp, I really try to explore and just get out and try different food spots, here and there. And, my really big thing, I'm a big dessert guy. So having a Ben & Jerry's out here was real huge for me. We didn't have that in College Station. And then where I'm originally from, St. Louis, we never had a Ben & Jerry's. So having that out here is amazing.
Well, you burn calories, so it's not a problem for someone of your age. Hey, Will, great to chat with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Panther Talk continues after this.
The new Smokin' Honey Melts are now at Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen, so when we make a new melt, we build it right. Melty, toasty, and packed with prime rib or grilled chicken breast, then drizzled with our new Smokin' Honey Chipotle sauce. Sweet, smoky, built right. It takes a firehouse kitchen to make a melt this good. Try the new Smokin' Honey Melts today, only at Firehouse Subs, at participating U.S. restaurants.
This is Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network. Brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Football has given me so much more than I could have ever imagined. The people I met, the experiences we've shared, and the joy that I found throughout this game. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. Your love and support have meant more than you'll ever know. Thank you to everyone who's been part of this journey. Thank you for sharing today with me, and most importantly, keep pounding.
You're listening to Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs, and we welcome in a big part of our Panthers family and a man who had a weekend of a lifetime. Luke Kuechly, or should I say Hall of Famer Luke Kuechly. How do you like the sound of that?
I don't know. I'm going to get used to it. Like I told JJ, I'm going to let everyone else say it for me.
When was the moment over the past weekend where the magnitude and the gravity of the event really sank in and hit you?
I think the two events that were super cool were the Gold Jacket dinner, and that was Friday night. That's when you walk down the gauntlet of guys, and you get up on stage, and Julius Peppers was up there with Jim Porter, the head of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Roger Goodell, and they slip your jacket off and then put the new one on. And my whole family was there. Big Panthers contingent was there. A bunch of my college buddies were there, and that's when you put the jacket on for the first time. And then when you're up there on stage on Saturday for enshrinement, I think that was the point where I was probably most nervous for. Was I've never really read off a teleprompter before. There was a lot of people in that stadium, but I think that those 2 days, Friday night at Gold Jacket dinner, and then obviously enshrinement there on Saturday.
I'm watching your speech, and I'm going, this is classic Luke. It's about everybody else. What went into what you wrote and ultimately presented at that podium?
Well, I just think you think about, what was important about your time playing football? What did you love about the game? What did the game teach you and provide you? And then you think about all the people that helped you along the way and helped you get there and helped you throughout your career, whether it was, my family, friends, people with the Panthers. I think that was one of the unique things for me, is that I got to play my whole career in Carolina, in the same organization, and I think I just had so much fun. I ended up in the right spot in Carolina for a multitude of reasons, but I just think you think about your football journey and what you learned and what you loved about it, and you ultimately think about the people that made it all possible.
What did it mean to you to look out and see the likes of Steve Smith and Jake Delhomme and J.J. Jansen and Roman Harper and Trey Boston. So many guys, and I'm missing a ton, Julius Peppers. So many former Panthers came back for that moment. This is a young franchise. What did that mean to you to see all the alumni rally around that event for you?
Well, it just brings you back to the times when we were all together in the locker room and on the field and in the meeting rooms and flying together on planes and on buses. And then you think about, all the time spent off the field with guys, of that crew. I've been to a couple guys' weddings and been over to their house for, holidays and Christmas and family vacations. And you just think about all the good times that we've spent together. And, that's just we had another opportunity this weekend all to get together. And some of the guys you see a lot, some of the guys you don't get to see as much. But when everybody's together, it's like no one's ever left, and you'd seen them, the previous week. So I just think kind of speaks to the type of people that were brought into the organization and the type of people that we had on our team and how close everybody was and how much fun everybody has hang out together.
As an Ohio kid, what did Canton, that city in the Hall of Fame, represent to you as a kid?
It was, the first time I went up there was when I was in grade school, at some point in grade school, and you look up and you see, Super Bowl rings, and you see used jerseys, and you see old shoulder pads and old cleats and worn by all the guys that we all grew up watching, and to have it in the state of Ohio was really cool. And, I went to the Hall of Fame as a kid. I went to 2 playoff games for Elder High School and then St. Xavier High School, obviously, where I went. And then we played a state championship game at Old Fawcett Field before it was Benson Stadium. So I feel like I've been up there quite a bit throughout my football career, and to have it be in the home state of Ohio is obviously really cool as well.
When you got your first look at your exhibit, what did you notice first? What jumped out to you?
Well, first of all, I think how well they put it all together. You send them a bag of stuff. I sent them a helmet and, shoulder pads and cleats and football and all kinds of stuff. And you send it out in a little bag. And the guy, John Kendall, who's in charge of all that stuff at the Hall of Fame, everything was placed exactly where it needed to be, and it looked like it belonged where it needed to be. And I think that's really just a credit to the Hall of Fame and the job they do and the pride that they take in their exhibits and taking care of what has been given to them and displaying it in a way that makes sense. And I think that's really the first thing I kind of realized, not only with mine but with the other guys as well, how professionally and how well thought out all those exhibits were. And you walk in there and it tells a story of each guy's career, and it's super cool to see.
We're talking with Hall of Famer Luke Kuechly. Luke, I'll let you go on this one. A few times during your speech, you alluded to your mom and dad getting emotional. I know they mean the world to you. Was there ever a moment where you felt, hey, I might lose it when I'm talking about my parents and what they've meant to my journey?
Yes, it's my dad was up there obviously on stage, and then my mom was the first row off of the stage. And the good thing was the teleprompter was not directly in line with my mom, so I looked at her a couple times and I could see her getting emotional. I was like, if I keep looking at her, then I'm gonna start feeling the same way. So I'm going to look over in that direction and keep my eyes peeled on the teleprompter here, and hopefully I can keep it together.
Luke, it was a great moment for you, and I'm glad we got to celebrate you. You deserved a day to make it about you, even though you made it about everybody else. We're proud of you. We're happy for you, and we can't wait to have you back up in the booth here. But get some rest. I know it's been a crazy few months for you, so get some rest, get some air. Go off the grid if you have to, and then we'll talk soon.
Oh, and then Anish, we'll be ready to go. We'll be ready to go week 1.
Can't wait. Luke Kuechly. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
That's Luke Kuechly, the newly minted Hall of Famer on the Carolina Panthers radio network.
The new Smokin' Honey Melts are now at Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen, so when we make a new melt, we build it right. Melty, toasty, and packed with prime rib or grilled chicken breast, then drizzled with our new Smokin' Honey Chipotle sauce. Sweet, smoky, built right. It takes a Firehouse kitchen to make a melt this good. Try the new Smokin' Honey Melts today, only at Firehouse Subs, at participating U.S. restaurants.
Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs, continues on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
Welcome back to Panther Talk. Anish Shroff, Eugene Robinson, Jim Zoki. Panthers already have a preseason game under their belt. The exciting part about Saturday will be the starters will play. We get to see a new stadium, the new Highmark Stadium up in Buffalo. But there is one player in particular we are all excited to see. It's been a minute since we've seen him. It's Jonathan Brooks. Eugene, Jonathan Brooks was the top running back taken in the draft a few years ago, back in 2024. He was coming off an ACL injury he suffered at Texas. He re-injures an ACL, 3 games into his rookie season after not playing the first half of the season, and showed some flashes, misses all of last season. He's now healthy. First time he's gone through a full training camp, and the sense that I'm getting is that they want to get him some touches in live game reps before the regular season. So you're going to see some Jonathan Brooks, and if he is anything close to the guy the Panthers drafted, we're sitting on a hidden gem, but obviously the biggest thing is he's got to stay healthy.
You know, I think one of the biggest things, the legends were invited down to a practice. And as we're invited out in practice, we were watching practice, and I would say almost to a man, we were like, hey, man, y'all check out Jonathan Brooks over there. Man, have you seen the way he moved? You saw his peripheral vision. You saw there was one point we were talking, we said, look, does everybody look like they're standing still and he's just running? Because he looks so smooth, so good, so fresh. His cuts, his peripheral vision, he was like exciting to watch. And I said, wow, if this is any indication of what Jonathan Brooks is going to look like, you better watch out. You better watch out, because I thought Rico Dowdle was that really smooth type of guy. I'm telling you what, Jonathan Brooks, and he's a big man too, he looks extremely good. He looks ready for the second. And I love the fact that Coach is going to be playing the starters, because he needs to get those reps. He desperately needs to get those reps. So I tell you what, all of Carolina, we're all waiting and anticipating, and I don't think that we're going to be disappointed, not one bit.
There were times when he was doing stuff in the spring in particular where he's out there and you look up and go, wow, that guy's really shifty and fast. And they go, that's half speed.
Yes.
That's half speed, Jonathan Brooks. And so because they didn't want to go full throttle, obviously, back in the spring. Training camp's been full on, and he said he is fully healed, so as if no injury had happened. So I'm excited to see what that looks like in a football setting, Anish.
Yeah, I talked to him today being Monday, and I said, when did you reach that point where you're not thinking about the knee, you're not thinking about the injury? And he said, it happened early on in training camp, where you finally get over the hurdle, I can let it go, and I can be that guy. His ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, you look at the way Dave Canales used Rashad White in his last season with Tampa. A lot of balls were thrown that way. Chuba Hubbard works really hard at his receiving game. It just seems to come more natural to Jonathan Brooks. To me, he becomes a weapon in the check down game for Bryce Young. He gives you an opportunity to go get some yak out of the backfield. Again, you've got Chuba, who is coming off an injury-plagued season. You got Jonathan Brooks coming off 2 ACLs. There is some risk involved, but the upside, especially with a guy like 25, again, that's one of those things where 6 weeks into the season, if Jonathan Brooks is playing at a high level, that changes how you view the Panthers.
Think about him as a bigger McCaffrey. Think about him as like McCaffrey has that ability to see the hole and make people miss and just hit it. And then his ability to catch the ball is like insane. Well, that's Jonathan Brooks, just a bigger version of him, a bigger version. And I'm like, I wonder how many tackles Jonathan Brooks is going to break, because you're going to go up against this man and go you don't realize how big he is until you stand right next to him. And I'm telling you, he is a really, really big man who is smooth. And you said this, that he's over the hump. Every football player, whether it's ACL or whether it's Achilles, you wait to get over that hump, and it typically happens in practice. It typically happens, during the offseason. You go, hold up, I feel good. Oh, that was the scar tissue breaking? That wasn't another injury? And once you get over that mental hump, then you're full go. You're not even thinking about you're not even thinking about your injury. And so the fact that he got over that mental hump, that only adds to what we're going to see with Jonathan Brooks.
And when you get a guy with speed, I mean, every team has some of those. And we're waiting to see how Jimmy Horn might develop at receiver. We'll have to wait a year on Chris Brazzell. But when you have a guy like that, it just becomes like this chance to hit a 3-run home run as opposed to someone just getting on base. Like this could be something that starts out as a 4 or 5 yard gain, and whoa, it's a 60-yard touchdown. And those are rare to find. So if he can unlock all that like he did at Texas, I mean, that's what you're looking for is those guys that are game changers that can, put 6 points on the board on a play. Every play is, in theory, designed to score, right? But in reality, most of them are like pick the first down up, keep the chains moving or whatever. He could be a part of that equation anyway of guys that could be not just solid, not just steady, but have those electric firework moments.
He will be the equivalent of Thomas Davis on offense as Thomas Davis was on defense as he got over his injuries, who was spectacular.
Yeah, and he's worked a lot with Thomas Davis, both on the mental aspect of coming back from multiple ACLs and then also on the physical aspect, how to rehab, how to train as you're coming back from these injuries. The other guy, and this is, the big obvious, Bryce Young. By all reports, he's had a great camp. Usually when they talk about a player's camp, Jim, we've been doing this long enough, everybody seems to have a good camp. That's kind of a training.
Everybody had a great offseason.
It's the spring training cliche, right? He came to camp in the best shape of his life. But Bryce Young has looked good. I look at this season and I say, if Bryce Young takes that next incremental step from where he was a year ago, to me, the Panthers are in a similar position that they were last year, where they're going to be in the playoff mix. They're going to be right there in the end, the last 4 or 5 games. They're going to be in the thick of things. If he takes the leap, that you hope is in there as a former number 1 overall pick, all of a sudden the ceiling for this team changes. In fact, you can probably remove the ceiling. If he can take that leap, you go from being a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot to just throw that out the window. That's given. You're now a contender.
As comfortable as King was in this offense, running this offense, it was aggressive. It looked really, really good. Can you imagine Bryce Young in this offense?
I think we were all thinking the same thing.
Dude, if this is Bryce Young, I'm thinking Bryce Young is about to go ahead and eat. He's about to fillet you, dude. I didn't see Kenny Pickett do that. I'm saying I saw Haynes King. I'm thinking of the music group. All right, Hanson. I'm thinking of Bob. But here it is.
Let's change his name.
Haynes King. We're going to change his name. But if Haynes King can go ahead and mobilize the troops the way he did and run how he did and throw how he did, and that's Bryce Young, watch out, Jimmy.
And the thing about Bryce is, they always kind of described the goal of this offense with him at the helm of it as a point guard in the NBA, a really good point guard. And I think what we're seeing with Bryce is that takes, to kind of put them both together, accuracy, which he's always had, but that was like college accuracy. Now it's like 4-year veteran accuracy, decisiveness in what to do with the football, but now it's that higher pro level as opposed to the college level. So that's where I think he is. Like, those things are all there and very good. Now that could be like really fine-tuned and precise, and that's what you get when you put him out there and get him out of the pocket a little bit like they did with King the other night. The bootlegs are some of the things we saw. You do that with Bryce too, and I think that's where he kind of shines when you get him out of the pocket sometimes.
He thrives. If you look at the numbers, when he can get outside the numbers and he can roll out and he can see the whole field, he's dangerous. And teams have said, we saw in the second half last year, teams rushed Bryce Young in a way where it wasn't so much them trying to get a sack, they wanted to keep him in the pocket. And so if you can scheme some of that stuff up, that'll be fascinating. Now, how much of that does Brad Idzik and Dave Canales, how much of that do they show in a preseason game? That remains to be seen, but we're going to find out. We're going to find out Saturday at 1 o'clock.
This has been Panther Talk, presented by Firehouse Subs on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network. Brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Coke. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Panther Talk. Panther Talk. Panther Talk. This is the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
Scams don't always look like scams anymore. AI can make a fake ticket offer look legit or a sportsbook text sound official. And once an identity thief gets your personal information, they can start using your name like it belongs to them. And then what? LifeLock helps detect potential identity threats and suspicious activity. And if identity theft happens, LifeLock's restoration specialists can help restore your identity, guaranteed, because only LifeLock truly protects your name and identity. Get LifeLock at LifeLock.com and use promo code FOOTBALL for up to 30% off your first year. That's LifeLock.com, code FOOTBALL.
When you're a maintenance engineer in a beverage manufacturing plant, you keep production lines moving and quality on track because there's no room for slowdowns. With Grainger's vast selection of high-quality motors, sensors, belts, and hard-to-find parts, you can get what you need fast and all in one place, so nothing gets in the way of getting the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Hulu original series Furious is now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. Starring Emmy Rossum as Alice Black, Furious follows a rookie FBI agent on the hunt for Catherine, played by Lola Pettigrew, a mysterious and calculating female serial killer. While Alice upholds justice, Catherine kills for it, terrorizing the rich and powerful men of New York in her pursuit of vengeance. With secrets that change everything, Alice discovers there's a thin line between hunter and prey. Watch the Hulu original series, Furious, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.